Welcome to the deep dive. Today, our mission is looking at something I think we all grapple with. That really draining feeling of failure. The kind that just hangs on, sometimes for years, even if the original mistake feels kind of small looking back. We're going to dive into, well, the psychology behind self-forgiveness and how you can actually start moving past those things that still bring up this, intense shame.
Yeah, I was really struck by some of the stories you shared in the sources. This isn't abstract stuff.
No, not at all. It's very real, very human.
Like Vaughn's story. 20 years ago, passed college provisionally, never turned in the final paper. The TA let it slide. But Vaughn still feels that breach of trust, like now. Or Brigida leaving a friend alone on her birthday. Years later, still feels like a burr, she said.
And those examples really highlight how subjective failure is. Objectively, leaving a party early, one missed paper. They're not, major crimes.
Right. But if you're wired to be self-critical, failure just means not meeting expectations. Internal, external, doesn't matter. And the problem often isn't even the standard itself. Having high standards, that's okay.
Yeah, striving is good.
But it's the zero tolerance policy. Any slip up, any tiny deviation, that's where the trouble starts.
It's like that metaphor you mentioned, the metaphorical peanut allergy to mistakes.
Exactly like that. For someone who isn't wired that way, maybe they miss an appointment, maybe they recommend a truly awful movie.
Yeah.
It's a blip. They say, oh, oops, my bad. And poof, it's gone. They move on.
But for someone with that allergy, hitting reply all by accident, running 10 minutes late.
Oh, it's huge. It feels disproportionately massive, like a 5-alarm fire inside.
Yeah, a total stress fest. You feel it physically, that wave of shame over something pretty small.
And we really need to dig into why these errors hit so hard. Psychologically, the term is overevaluation.
Overevaluation.
Okay. We basically take a screw-up, an action, and we conflate it with our character. We turn a negative outcome, which is often just, part of life.
Right. Life happens.
Into a personal failing, an indictment of who we are. Think about Gabby. Her mom was dying. Family urged her to take a break, a short break. She comes back. Her mom's no longer lucid. And Gabby's immediate thought isn't just, oh, I regret the timing. It's,
I'm a bad daughter.
Exactly. I'm not a good daughter. She took this heartbreaking event, completely understandable situation, and basically branded herself with it, applied it to her entire self-worth.
Wow. And you mentioned this is sort of fueled by, what was it, an internal inspector?
That's the idea from Dr. Hollander way back in the 60s. He noticed this pattern. He said the self-critical person is constantly on the alert for what is wrong. Like you're living life as an inspector at the end of a production line.
Always scanning for the flaw.
Always.
Yeah.
Your brain's job becomes finding the defect. So naturally, you focus on the lowlights, the mistakes.
And sometimes those lowlights just jump out like an ambush. I call it a surprise shame punch. But the research calls it something else. A cringe attack.
Yes. A cringe attack. That specific kind of memory replay. It hits you when you least expect it. Showering, making coffee, folding laundry.
Totally mundane moment.
And bam, it's physical. You actually wince or shudder. You might squeeze your eyes shut.
Oh, I can picture that. Like the person shuddering, remembering they reintroduced themselves to someone whose number they've just got 30 minutes before.
Exactly that kind of thing. Or you mentioned the source about the 5th grader.
Yeah.
The
massive fart incident in front of everyone.
Yeah. When that memory pops up, the reaction is visceral. Why did I do that?
So why is the reaction so extreme? Just because it was embarrassing?
It's because we've broken a rule in our inner rule book. This invisible but incredibly strict set of personal laws, like I must always show good judgment, or I should never make a fool of myself. We treat these like absolute truths.
Which leads us straight to this impossible yardstick we measure ourselves against. I mean, when you look at the litany of expectations that self-critical part of the brain holds, it's kind of wild.
It really is.
Things like, I expect I will always make optimal decisions. Always optimal.
Or, I can accurately predict the future.
Right. And the kicker, I can control how other people see me. Good luck with that one.
It's setting ourselves up for constant failure because we're trying to meet a standard of competence that, frankly, doesn't exist for any human.
So what's the way out? Just lower all our standards?
Don't necessarily lower them across the board. You still want to be kind, do good work. Right.
Yeah, of course.
The core solution is more about flexibility. Accepting that mistakes, bad judgment calls, things blowing up unexpectedly, that's just part of the package deal of being alive. Regret, in a way, is just the price of admission for engaging with the world and with other people.
Okay, flexibility makes sense. But you also said something intriguing, that we need to grieve the loss of these unrealistic ideas. Grieving an idea, that sounds a bit abstract.
It does. I get that. It's not like grieving a person.
Right. Is it just a fancy way to say be nicer to yourself?
It's more than that, I think. It's truly an emotional process. You're letting go of an idealized version of yourself, the version of you who never messes up, who always makes the perfect regret-free choice. That belief, even if unrealistic, felt safe, maybe gave a sense of control.
Ah, okay. So losing that idea is actually painful.
It is. It can be really disheartening to fully accept, I am fallible, I will make mistakes, I can't control everything. You've lost something important to how you saw yourself. If you try to skip that emotional part, that grief, you just stay stuck looping on the mistake, thinking about what that perfect, flawless you should have done.
Okay, that lands differently. Acknowledging the pain of accepting you're not perfect. That's step one. So once we kind of make peace with that loss, how do we deal with the actual feeling of regret when it pops up, that physical tightness?
Yeah, the physical side is key. There's a great technique for this from Dr. Russ Harris called physicalizing.
Physicalizing. Okay.
You deliberately bring the regret to mind. Then you scan your body. Where do you feel it? Tight chest, pressure behind the eyes, lump in your throat.
Find the physical spot.
Then, and this is the creative part, you imagine that sensation as a physical object. Give it a shape, a color, a texture. Like Justin in the source material, his regret about dropping out felt like a waterlogged black sponge in his chest.
Wow, specific.
Or Kara felt her anxiety over a lost friendship as a red, glowing web under her skin.
Okay, so you visualize it as an object.
Yeah.
Then what?
Then the crucial step, make room for it. You literally breathe into the space around that imagined object in your body, like you're gently inflating the area around it.
Ah, so you're not trying to push it out or destroy it.
Exactly. The goal isn't let it go. It's let it be. You acknowledge it's there, you accept its presence, but you stop fighting it. You don't let it take over the whole system.
Let it be. I like that. Accepting it's there without wrestling it.
Precisely. And that acceptance flows right into the process of self-forgiveness, which the research suggests has like 3 main parts. Let's go back to Gabby, the caregiver.
Okay.
Part 1 is the starting point. Self-criticism and guilt. Gabby thinking, I made the wrong decision. We need that initial signal. Guilt and shame aren't all bad. They're linked to empathy, to our need to fix social bonds. They signal something needs attention.
Right, they serve a function.
Part 2 is where the work happens, deconstructing that. Overevaluation, you have to separate the act from the self. This is the huge difference between shame and guilt. Shame says, I am a bad daughter. Guilt says, I did something that had a painful outcome.
Shifting focus from I am bad to I did a thing I regret.
Yes. Decoupling those two is how you start to diffuse the intense shame. It moves from an identity statement to an action assessment.
Okay. And part 3.
Part 3 is about fostering positive emotions. And this is key. You have to allow positive self-regard and the failure to coexist. It's not about earning forgiveness later by promising you'll be perfect next time. The research actually suggests you can offer yourself that grace now, even while you're still struggling with a regret.
That feels revolutionary. You don't have to fix it first to deserve kindness from yourself.
Exactly. And maybe the most powerful, if counterintuitive, way to deal with shame is to do the opposite of what it tells you to do.
Which is usually?
Hide.
Yeah.
Conceal it. Shame thrives in secrecy, in the dark. But the moment you share the story, like Ven did, like Brigida, like Libby in the sources, with someone you trust,
it loses its power.
It really does. You get empathy, validation. Someone says, oh, wow, that sounds tough, or I've done something similar, and the grip of the guilt starts to loosen. It just kind of shrivels in the light.
Okay, that makes sense for past stuff, but how do we stop setting ourselves up for this cycle in the future? How do we change our approach going forward? You mentioned Trisha Park, the violinist prodigy. Her teacher basically set life up as this constant, high-stakes final exam.
Yeah, telling her, no one cares if you're sad or tired.
Oh.
You have to be consistently perfect no matter what. That's intense pressure.
No kidding.
And that kind of pressure forces perfectionists into these avoidance tactics, ways to try and prevent failure at all costs. The first one we see a lot is overcompensation.
Doing way more than needed.
Way more. Just building this huge buffer zone to try and guarantee no mistakes slip through.
Like Kelkadan, the medical student, being extra enthusiastic, rewriting every single patient note from scratch instead of just copying basic info.
Right. On the surface, it looks like diligence, like she's being incredibly thorough.
Yeah, seems like a good student thing, but why is it a problem?
Well, the obvious trade-offs are time and energy. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
But the more subtle problem is that it steals the learning opportunity. By always overdoing it, Calcadin never finds out if her adequate work would have been perfectly fine.
She gets the good grade, but thinks it's only because she killed herself doing double the work.
Exactly. She learns the lesson, I must overcompensate to succeed, instead of my good work was enough. The perfectionism loop stays intact because she never risks submitting just good work to see what happens.
Okay, so overcompensation keeps us stuck. What else? You mentioned unreliable indicators for knowing when we're done or good enough. Something about the head versus the heart.
Yeah, we tend to rely heavily on one or the other. The head is all about the numbers, the metrics, the quantitative stuff. Like Gus, the runner. He tracked every single split, heart rate, cadence. Running became a report card, he said. All data, no joy. He was using his head to judge something that should be felt.
Okay, head is data. What's the heart?
The heart is that felt sense, the intuition, the is it right yet? Feeling. Like Timothy, the HR guy, pulling all-nighters. He'd edit reports endlessly until they felt right. But that feeling was a moving target. It never felt right enough.
Causing misery, tension at home.
Yeah, right, because his internal enough meter was broken.
So if one is over-relying on head and the other on heart, what's the fix?
It's about strategic flexibility again. Deliberately swapping the indicator. Gus, the data-driven runner, he tried running without tracking anything, just running by feel, using his heart.
How'd that go?
He said it felt like a huge relief, almost like he was getting away with something. He rediscovered the pleasure.
And Timothy, the feels right guy.
And he needed to bring in the head. Since his feeling wasn't reliable, he needed external objective limits.
Like what?
He actually talked to colleagues to see what was normal, then set hard rules. Stop work at 8 p.m. for family time, period. Maximum of 3 drafts on any report. Concrete limits.
That's super practical for listeners. If your heart tells you to keep apologizing until you feel forgiven, you need a head rule. Apologize once, maybe twice sincerely, then stop, whether it feels resolved or not.
Exactly. Apply the opposite tool to your default impulse.
Okay, last big hurdle then. Judgment from other people.
Ah, yes. The tough one.
Trisha Park, again, learning violin improvisation. She said her first attempts were unequivocally awful.
And that's the deal with learning anything new, right? You have to be bad at it before you get good. Struggle isn't a flaw. It's literally part of how competence develops.
But putting yourself out there, being bad at something publicly, that opens you up to judgment?
It absolutely does. And you will be judged. That's just the tax for doing anything in the world, as one source put it. You can't please everyone.
And criticism hurts. You mentioned our social and physical pain systems overlap.
They do. Rejection, criticism registers in the brain similarly to physical pain. So telling yourself, just don't care what people think, is like telling yourself not to feel a burn. It fights basic biology.
So we can't stop it hurting. What can we do?
The strategy isn't about blocking the criticism. It's about strengthening your own foundation, your sense of self. The advice is to affirm your deepest values.
Okay, how does that work?
When you get criticized, maybe someone questions your work or your choices, you deliberately bring to mind things you know for sure are true and important about yourself. Things unrelated to the criticism, like, okay, that feedback stings, but I know I'm a really good mom. Or maybe they didn't like my idea, but I know integrity is my highest value, and I acted with it.
You're anchoring yourself in something solid and core to you.
Exactly. It shores up your overall sense of self-adequacy. It helps maintain what researchers call the overarching narrative of the self's adequacy. Basically, reminding yourself you're fundamentally okay, even if you messed up or someone disapproves. That helps you stay in the game.
And that internal shift lets you change your whole approach, like Trisha Park moving away from that terrifying final exam mindset to seeing life more as a series of experiments, trying new things, like K-pop arrangements just for fun, which then helped her approach the scary Paganini differently.
Yes. It takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
An experiment can fail.
Yeah.
And it's still useful data. It's not an indictment. It's just trying something. See what happens.
So bringing it all together, self-forgiveness isn't instant.
Not at all. It's gradual. It's really about deeply accepting that mistakes aren't fundamental personal failings. They're just part of being human. Like Gabby finally realized about her mom, all that guilt wasn't actually keeping her connected. She said, I can love her and miss her without beating myself up. The love was separate from the self-punishment.
That feels like the core message, that flexibility, that self-acceptance. You can still aim high, have standards, but allow yourself to be human, mistakes and all.
Beautifully put.
Okay, let's leave our listeners with a final thought to mull over this week. We talked about how self-critical people are often their own worst judges. The source material suggests that people who are habitually judgmental of others are usually applying incredibly harsh, unrealistic standards to themselves, too. So if you run into a strong outer critic this week, someone quick to judge others, maybe pause and wonder, what deep, likely unspoken, unrealistic expectation might they be holding for themselves that this judgment is unintentionally revealing?